We're going to jump in this morning, have a look at what's going on in the Forex markets, see what potential opportunity there might be for us coming up session. So we're going to keep these things under 5 minutes. So as always, let's just jump straight into what's going on. We're going to begin right over here, and we're going to pull up a calendar. It's important to understand what's going on for the week, and do a check. We want to make sure, as I always say, we're not trading into the face of a high impact news announcement. So starting today, not a whole lot going on, but we do have quite a bit of news towards the end of the week. So if we scroll on down here, Thursday, we have Bank of England Governor Bailey is speaking right during the time that we've got the new U.S. session opening. And then at the same time, we've also got unemployment claims happening here. But Friday is the big day for the U.S. market, as our non-farm payroll is coming out. So unemployment rate and non-farm employment change report, as well as on the CAD So pretty high impact reports on Friday and on Thursday. So just be aware of that as you're trading. If you're coming into the new session and you see a whole lot of stuff going on, the markets are jumping up and down, you've got spreads widening, you've got just different things happening, it could be because it's right around one of these news events, and that's just a good indication of a time to stay away. Doesn't mean that you can't trade for the day, but you just don't want to trade right at that announcement. You need to let the announcement finish, let the market return to normal, and then go ahead and look at what's going on from there to see what your opportunity is for trading. So with that said, this morning, tomorrow, Wednesday, there's really not any high impact news coming on. So we can jump right into the day and have a look at what's moving, which currencies are strong, which currencies are weak, what pairs can we make from those active currencies, and then that allows us to see if we've got a tradable opportunity or not. And if we do, we'll take it. If we don't, that's fine too. All right, so what's going on? We've got the USD. USD is a strong currency. We can see that it's here at the top. It's been being heavily bought throughout the morning so far coming into the new session. So the USD is a strong currency in relation to the others. We've got the euro as a weaker currency here. So the US and the euro are diverging from one another. Although, if we look at the euro USD, and here over the last few hours, we've already moved 67 pips on an average of the high 60s to low 70s from an average range on that currency pairing. So as I always say, do we really have opportunity here? I mean, we can see we've got, on the euro USD, we could be selling the euro against that USD, and it might be great for, kind of a quick hit, but we've kind of hit the max of what that range typically is. So is there likelihood with no news coming out that would be a catalyst to continue it? I mean, it absolutely could move, but what's the likelihood? I'd rather look at something that's got a smaller percentage of the day where it's already moved versus its typical range. So I'm going to pass on the euro USD. It's not typically one that we see. It's a heavily traded currency, but not typically always great for us here coming into the U.S. session for tradable opportunities anyway. All right, so with that one, we'll pass to what else do we have? Do we have other currency pairings with the USD? We could look at potentially the U.S. versus the CAD, U.S. versus the pound over here. So if we look at the pound USD, so looking at U.S. versus the pound, we'd like to see the pound break below this midpoint. And it will over time as some of this earlier information back here ages off. We'll see the pound drop below the midpoint. So we can see, though, pretty clearly we've got divergence between the pound and the USD. And that's one that's got some interest over here. We look at this, we've got 63 pips moved for the day. Its average is into that 90 to 100 pip range. So there's certainly opportunity there. Not a real clear direction from a volume detail perspective, but if we can certainly look over here and we can see we've had some decent movement down, selling the pound against the USD. So a little burst of divergence, little burst of momentum with the pound moving below the midpoint here should get us red as we come into the new session. If we've got a red volume detail and we've still got this divergence going on, the pound versus the USD would be a viable opportunity to trade as that breakout box paints and look for continued movement to the short side. Of course, if we breakout box paints, we take that short trade. If it reverses from there and doesn't touch us in, then we just simply don't trade. It's fine, no big deal. We're not in anything. Didn't cost us anything to give it a shot. So I think that's the one I'm really looking at. We've also got U.S. versus the CAD. That one's moved 60 pips on an average of high 90s, typically mid 90s. I think I like the pound USD though a little better than the US CAD on this one, a little more volatile typically there. So I'll stick with that. We're going to look for, as the new session gets going, we'll look to short the pound versus the USD, bottom of a breakout box, and see how that works for us. Again, if it's got the momentum, it continues on through the bottom of that box, we'll be in a trade. It'll have keyed in that trade, and we'll be in it. We'll be ratcheting off our risk pip for pip as the market potentially moves in our direction. If it doesn't, if the market just new session opens and the currency strength reverses with the pound and the USD, then we're not in a trade and we just move on with our day. Right? So that's it. I'm going to leave it here for you. There's my idea for the brand new US session that's starting here in about 4 minutes. 9 minutes. So we'll see how that looks, and then we'll come back in a bit and we'll talk about the futures market.